Alright, let's move this right here. Let's go through our thing. Let's pull it up. Alright, let's take a look at some of this. Yeah. And you had the. Yeah, okay. Alright. That. Oh, let's get this started. What's going on, everybody? Give me a second here. Just doing a couple things. Oh, wow. I didn't let it go to the end. That's crazy. All right. Give me a sec. Oh, crap. I think we should be fine. Interesting. We played them. That's fun. Um, I need to do one of these before I go on. But what's going on, everybody? Give me a little minute here. Doing my usual setup thingies here. So trying to do a couple things before I ultimately get started because we have got to talk. Gotta talk. Gotta talk. Gotta talk. Gotta talk. We got a conversation needs to be made. But welcome everybody. Welcome Ravens flock. What is going on? How you guys feeling? You've seen the title of this stream here. You already know what's going on. What's going on to my guys at the lunch break hot take? What's going on to you guys? What's going on, fellas? Interesting turn of events. Interesting turn of events. What's going on, Loyal? Appreciate you, my guy. Interesting turn of events. Also, shout out to you, man. That was an epic comeback by your Texans. I mean, I would say I would say that it was shocking to see that comeback, but the Jaguars love the choke, so it's not too shocking to see that. It kind of fits perfectly within the realm of what I expect to see from the Chargers. Not from the Chargers, excuse me, from the Jaguars. I expected to see that from the Jaguars. I'm not ultimately surprised that they somehow managed to choke a game that they were heavily winning prior to. But we are gonna get started here. Oh, look at this! Look at this! Look at this! I'm gonna tell you guys right now, man. Steelers probably gonna win this game. You can already get the vibe here. The Steelers offense has more energy. The Chargers offense ain't doing nothing. Steelers defense is trying to hold up. Not Steelers defense. Chargers defense trying to hold up. Steelers defense actually doing their job. The only reason there's 2 points on the board is because the safe the safety that happened because A-Rod was trying to escape the pocket and he dropped the ball. So he fumbled the ball in the end zone and he had to go down to get it. That's what ultimately caused the safety. Yeah, it'd be great if the Steelers lose this game, but I can tell you for a fact they're not losing to no damn Chargers. They ain't losing no damn Chargers, unfortunately. Yeah, 26 unanswered points in the fourth quarter is insanity, but it fits perfectly with what we expect from the Chargers. Not Chargers. I keep saying from the Chargers, from the Jaguars. It's what we expect from the Jaguars. Jaguars love the choke. That's what we expect. But we got a conversation that has to be made here. Got a few things I gotta do because I'm still trying to set up a couple things here. Oh man, we're trying to set up. I got too many tabs open. Too many things. All right. Holding call on the Steelers here. That's ultimately what caused them to go backwards. All right, let me pull this live up. I'm trying to figure out where the live is so I can make sure I do everything I need. Did I put the proper? Okay, I did that. Look at A-Rod having all the time in the world to duck. Why is he wide open? Oh my God, the Chargers secondary is just leaving dudes wide open. Why is he wide open? He's wide open. What is this Chargers defense doing? Are you even trying to win a game? He's wide open. Had plenty of time. Oh, that's a catch. He holds off the ball. They're going to have to take a look at. Oh! It hit the ground. That's incomplete. That has to be incomplete. It hit the ground. That has to be incomplete. It hit the ground. Don't tell me nothing about nothing. It hit the ground. That has to be incomplete. I challenge that too. All right. I can do that. Wait, I forgot. 3 more things. All right. And then you do this. And then you do this. All right. All right, let's do this. So, oh, great. No, all these damn tabs open. All right. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. What is up? What is good? What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Ravens flock. The Ravens are starting to stack some wins. I don't think that's going to be a catch. But the Ravens are starting to stack some wins as we expected them to do. The Ravens played an interesting game of football today. There was a lot here, in all honesty. There was a lot here with this game. It was very layered in terms of how things ultimately turned out because, we usually expect to see the offense kind of carry because that's kind of been the storyline of this Ravens team. When Lamar's out there, the offense is doing their jobs. They're moving well, moving the ball well, putting points on the board. But it's really been the defense that's ultimately been folding. They've been playing terrible and they haven't looked good. And then special teams has just been non-existent because they haven't been making enough plays in key situations to even be impactful to the game. So, usually we expect a lot from the offense. That's kind of just how we saw things ultimately. But today was really a day where you have to look at this and say the offense was the problem. The offense honestly held everybody back. The offense held the team back today. It was very interesting to see that be the case because it's not a lot of times or a lot of moments or situations that you see where the offense is really the issue in the game and the defense and special team does their job. Today was that day. Today was not good for the offense, but it was good for everybody else. However, you do have to give a little bit of credit here to Todd Monken for at least making the adjustments because they were in the red zone 3 times in the first half, and they left there with 3 field goals. They were in the red zone twice in the second half, and they left there with 2 touchdowns. So that's a good thing that he at least, got it together in the second half. He ultimately made his adjustments that did lead towards touchdowns being scored. Because this year, our red zone offense has not been good. The red zone offense has not been good. But at least we made those adjustments. So let's actually get into this and break it down. The Ravens got the 27-19 victory in Minnesota. This is actually interesting. I believe this is the first time Baltimore has won in Minnesota. Because I believe historically we faced off against the Vikings, 7, 8 times? Actually, let me take a look at this. I'm pretty sure this is the first time the Ravens have won in Minnesota. Because I can't remember a time where we've beaten the Vikings in Minnesota. They've come to Baltimore and we've beaten them. But I don't remember a time where we've won in Minnesota. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, honestly, yeah. 98, they came to Baltimore, beat us. 02, they came to Baltimore, we won. We won the last two matchups, but there was one in Baltimore. We went to Minnesota in 2009 and we lost. Um, we went back to Minnesota in 2017. I remember when we lost in '09. I remember 17. We also lost that one. That was, who was it? Who was the quarterback? It was Case Keenum. Case Keenum. That was the same year the Vikings went to the NFC title game and got blown out by the Eagles. So yeah, we've only been to Minnesota 3 times, and we lost the first two matchups. We lead the series because we've beaten them a majority of the time. We're what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were 4-3. We were 4-3 all time against the Vikings heading into the game. We never won in Minnesota before. We've never won a game in Minnesota. So today's win actually brings some history for the Ravens. It's their first ever win against the Vikings at Minnesota, because when we've beaten them, it's usually been in our house. We haven't beaten the Vikings in Minnesota. We just did that now. So the Ravens get the win. Congratulations to them. They get their 27-19 victory, the first ever win in Minnesota for this franchise. Good on them for getting the job done. Let's actually get into how this game went, because it was pretty chaotic. We'll get into it, and then we'll ultimately talk about each element and how they played a role in today's game and how we overall assess these individuals. What did I miss? Guys, what did I miss? What did he, hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, never mind. Yeah, missed field goal. I was about to say, I'm like, how? I'm sorry. I've been looking down here setting up the stuff for the Ravens. I wasn't even looking up. And all of a sudden I look up and the Chargers have the ball. I was like, wait, the Steelers win field goal range. What happened? They missed the field goal. So yeah, missed field goal for the Steelers. Chargers have the ball and they don't look like they're doing anything with it right now. Anyway, let's get back to this game here. Ravens win 27-19. Let's actually talk a bit about this game. We're going to go with the play-by-play here because I love doing that nowadays. And then we'll talk about each element and the role they played in this game. So, starting this game on the road at Minnesota, the Ravens got the ball first. Minnesota won the coin toss, so they elected to kick to Baltimore. Baltimore got to put the offense out there for their opening drive. What did the offense do? They went 3 and out. We got an injured Steelers player down right now. Definitely looks shaken up. They're checking on him right now. Hopefully he's okay. But yeah, opening drive for the Ravens, and this is where you got to look at the offense for the Ravens in the first half, man. They were virtually putrid in the first half, man. So yeah, opening drive, they go 3 and out. They go 3 and out. Not much really to say there. They go 3 and out. That's all that needs to be specified. They go 3 and out. The Vikings get the ball at their own 14-yard line to start this game. What happens? They go 7 plays, 86 yards, and they score a touchdown. On the opening drive, Marlon Humphrey got absolutely targeted on 2 third-down plays. It was 3rd and 6. McCarthy throws to Jefferson. Humphrey was on the coverage. First down, Vikings. And then on a 3rd and 4, McCarthy throws a deep ball to Naylor, who catches that. Marlon Humphrey's the one that's covering him, but they ran a rub play there. He wasn't able to make the adjustment. He got beat. He had a chance to make the tackle. He missed. I believe Rokar was also there, who could have made the tackle. He missed as well, and they take it to the goal line. Gilman's the one that ultimately makes the tackle. Very next play, touchdown, Minnesota. So opening drive for the Vikings, they go 7 plays, 86 yards, a touchdown in 3.5 minutes, and we're all like, here we go. This defense is on this nonsense again. They about to just mess up. Looks like they're going to get blown up. They're going to play like this. Marlon Humphrey getting cooked on the opening drive. Not a good look. Baltimore gets the ball. They go down the field 11 plays because, again, the offense was really grimy today. 11 plays. They only got 42 yards. They did have good field position. They got to Vikings territory, but ultimately you get that play to die. Back-to-back plays. back-to-back drops. On second down, Lamar throws to Andrews up the seam. Andrews cannot make the catch. It's not an easy catch, but Mark Andrews of previous years would be able to make that catch. Instead, Mark Andrews makes the drop there. To make matters worse, on third down, I don't even know how this happens. It's an egregious drop by Isaiah Likely. He's wide open, and if he just makes that catch, he can turn around and potentially pick up the first down. You didn't get that there. So on second down, drop from Andrews. Third down, drop from Likely. You got to settle for a field goal. Second drive here for the Vikings. They go 3 and out. The defense stands tall. They hold up. They actually ran a kind of a trick play aspect. It was a double pass where McCarthy threw it to, he faked the handoff, threw it to Jefferson. Jefferson looks like he's about to go take off. He turns, he throws it back to McCarthy. McCarthy starts taking off. He's got blockers, but ultimately they were able to get him down a few yards short from picking up the first down. And so because of that, they end up having to punt the football. How does Baltimore respond? They go 3 and out again. So their first 3 offensive drives, 3 and out, field goal, 3 and out. Vikings get the ball in good field position because it was actually not a great punt in that situation because I believe we were at the goal line when we went 3 and out. And Stout did not really have the best of punts on that one. He's actually been really great as a punter this year, but that was not a great punt from him. That put the Vikings in really good territory to try to get some points. They get into field goal range. They score a field goal. It's 10-3. How does Baltimore's offense respond? They respond with yet another 3 and out. What are we doing? So 3 and out, field goal, 3 and out, 3 and out. That's what we did our first 4 drives in that first half. The Vikings get the ball. Again, they're in good field position. They have a chance on third down. For some random reason, J.J. McCarthy just decided, I'm going to launch the ball down the field because I can just throw this into double coverage. It's Justin Jefferson. He can make the play. I'm just going to yeet the ball down the field. And Malachi Starks was right there. Malachi Starks makes the play. He gets his second interception. 2 interceptions for Malachi Starks in 2 games. The guy is supposed to be a ball hawk. This is what we expect to see from him, and he is delivering. So, interception. Baltimore gets the ball. Let's see what they can do. Baltimore actually goes down the field because I think they were at their own 20. Where were they at? Their own 25, 24. They were at their own 29-yard line. Baltimore goes down the field. They go 67 yards in 6 plays. They get down to the goal line. They have a chance to score at the goal line. They run back-to-back play-action pass plays, and nobody's open. And we'll talk about them when we speak about every element. But the offensive line today was just as bad as they've always been. And at the goal line, they cost us 4 extra points. We absolutely should have scored a touchdown at the goal line. The offensive line's terrible blocking caused that to ultimately be a field goal attempt that we got to attempt. Field goal is ultimately good, and just like that, it's a 10-6 game here. The Vikings get the ball back. We're under 2 minutes at this point. They end up going 3 and out. Baltimore gets the ball before halftime. And once again, you started to see the adjustments were there. Baltimore goes down the field. Wow, the connection's not there right now with Herbert and his receivers. But we go down the field. We go down the field just before halftime. If we would have had more time, we absolutely could have scored a touchdown. But we go down the field, and we did get one of those plays, which I'm pretty sure people are going to talk about because of how things ultimately went. But there was a roughing the passer call on there was a roughing the passer call that was ultimately called just before halftime. It was called on Turner. Now, if you look at the play, that was clear PI. Herbert is having all the time in the world to do nothing but damn near throw a pick. They can't connect at all. What were these throws? Just missing receivers. What is Justin Herbert doing out here? My God, take the field goal and get off the field. High throw, and look at this. You got to make that catch. Oh my God, if Ladd McConkey's not able to get that connection, what are you going to do? Good Lord. All right, back to this. So yeah, Turner gets called on a roughing the passer call, which by the way shocked me and shocked every other Ravens fan. Lamar actually got a roughing the passer penalty. They never call that for him. He never gets those roughing the passer penalties. You'll have defenders literally slam him on the floor. They'll come after his legs and tackle him when he's already out of bounds. They'll make all these plays and all these late hits on him. He doesn't get the call. But finally here, they gave him the call because it was so blatant that it was It was so blatant that it was roughing the passer strictly by the rule books. Because Turner, he gets to Lamar, he wraps him up, he slams him on the turf, but he literally landed his entire body weight on Lamar. By the rule book, that is a penalty. I hate that penalty. I hate that rule. At the end of the day, you're asking these defensive players to try to maneuver themselves sideways as they're trying to take a quarterback down. That you're asking for too much. I've always thought that rule was just wrong and they should have never implemented it. But by the rule books that they've stated, that is a clear roughing the passer. So that moves Baltimore up and gives them a chance at an easier field goal, which Tyler Loop makes. So we go into halftime at 10-9. Coming out of halftime, the Vikings get themselves close to Baltimore territory. They were actually moving the ball well. But once again, J.J. McCarthy, for some reason today, I get it. I understand it. It's Justin Jefferson. He's not, you're trying to target him. You're trying to get that connection there. It's Justin Jefferson. You got to get him the ball. I understand that. But sometimes if you force feed a receiver and he's double covered or there's tight coverage there, it's going to end up being a bad decision. J.J. McCarthy was actively trying to force the ball to Justin Jefferson. It was not working today. So on third down, he steps up in the pocket. He's got room to run, but he says, I'm going to yeet the ball down the field to Justin Jefferson, who's matched up with Marlon Humphrey one-on-one. It was incidental contact. Jefferson ended up, I think he like tripped because his foot and Marlon Humphrey's foot collided. Jefferson ended up falling. Marlon Humphrey's left wide open down the field to get the easy interception. So second interception of the game here. Second turnover for the Ravens defense created. And second interception overall for J.J. McCarthy, who again just tried to force the ball to Justin Jefferson. It did not work. The Ravens offense responds by scoring another field goal. But again, they moved the ball down the field. They were moving the ball down the field. They just could not finish in the red zone. And because they could not finish in the red zone, they couldn't finish at the goal line. They had to keep settling for field goals. 12-10 game. After that, the Vikings couldn't get out of their own way, man. This second half was so disgusting by the Minnesota Vikings. You got to really take a look at them because they really did everything in their power to try to lose this game. So check this out. Ravens score, it's 12-10. So let's start with the second half. Let's start with this whole assessment of the second half. Vikings, first drive, interception. Second drive, they're getting the ball on a kick return. On a kick return. Oh my God. On a kick return. Price is running a kick return, and he ends up fumbling the ball. He fumbles the ball. Baltimore recovers at the Minnesota 23-yard line. So Aaron just took a hit. So yeah, after throwing the pick, special teams makes a mistake. Third turnover of the game. It's a fumble right there. No surprise here. Ravens get the football at that point. Baltimore goes on a short field, 6 plays for 23 yards. And the Ravens find a way to get into the end zone as Justice Hill, he walks in for a 1-yard touchdown. It's 19-10. The Vikings respond by fumbling the ball again during the kickoff. They fumbled it not once, but twice during the kickoff, and they were lucky to ultimately get that ball back. So they fumbled it twice on that second kick return, but they ultimately were able to get the ball back. So they were able to hold on to it, and the offense got to come out properly. The offense proceeded to do nothing. They proceed to do nothing. They proceed to do nothing. They try to move the ball. They end up going for it on fourth down, and they just can't connect. So turnover on downs here. It remains a 19-10 game. Baltimore's offense, which again was not good today. Baltimore's offense ran 3 plays, got 1 yard. Even though they're in Vikings territory, they ran 3 plays, got 1 yard, and missed the field goal. It stays 19-10. Here comes A-Rod going deep. Oh, it could have been caught. That's a great play by Reed to knock it down. That could have been caught, and that ultimately could have been a huge game or potentially a touchdown. Great defensive play to knock it down there. 4th down for the Steelers. That's just great. That's a great defensive play. That's a great defensive play. The receiver had a step. If that's caught, that could be 6. If that's caught, that's 6 points. Because the defender leaped to make that back down. If he misses, that's 6 points. So there's a punt. And the Chargers are going to get the ball back. 5:49 left to go in the first half here. So yeah, back to this. After they turn the ball over on downs, Baltimore runs 3 plays, gets 1 yard, and settles for a 56-yard field goal that Tyler Luke missed. The Vikings get the ball back in great field position, essentially where they were when they ended up turning the ball over on downs. They go 7 plays, 29 yards. They get it to field goal range. Ultimately got stopped by the Ravens defense. They settle for a field goal, 19-13. So we enter the 4th quarter. It's a 6-point game. Baltimore needs a defining drive here to essentially give themselves a good chance to solidify this win. Baltimore, at that point, they put together their best drive of the game. 11 plays, 67 yards, 6.5 minutes taken off the clock. Everything is capped off with a 2-yard touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson to Mark Andrews at the back of the end zone to make this a 25-19 game. The Ravens would go for 2. Lamar would find Bateman. They would convert the 2-point conversion. It goes to 27-13. So it goes from 25-13 to 27-13. The Vikings, knowing they're in the 4th quarter, time is starting to run out. They've got to go do something. They move the ball well down the field, but they get stopped once again. They go for it on 4th down. They're ultimately not able to get it. He was looking for Jefferson. Wiggins was on the coverage. They could not connect. Turnover on downs once again for the Vikings offense. Ravens go 3 and out the following drive. The Vikings get a long drive, which was filled with a bunch of nonsense. Honestly, Roquan Smith should have had that interception. They said there was definitive evidence. No, there wasn't. You could try to make an argument, but there wasn't definitive evidence, and you already ruled it to be an interception. I don't think there was clear enough evidence to absolutely say that it was an incomplete pass instead of an interception. But they choose to rule incomplete. Nothing you can do about it. If that interception happens, they don't end up scoring this touchdown. So they go down the field. They get to the goal line. It comes down to a 4th and goal situation. 4th and goal, and J.J. McCarthy, he finds Naylor at the back of the end zone, who, again, just found a way to just make that great catch. Wiggins was on the coverage, but Wiggins was playing great defense there. That he was tight on coverage, and it was just a great throw and great catch. Touchdown Vikings, 27-19. The Vikings go for 2. They don't get it, so it stays an 8-point game. The only reason they went for 2 is because if they can convert that 2-point conversion, it becomes a 6-point game. And then if you get the ball back, all you need is a touchdown to win. The Ravens get the ball back, and they cannot get it done. They ultimately forced the Vikings to use all 3 of their timeouts, but they needed to pick up 1 more first down. On 3rd down, they were unable to do so. Lamar's pass gets batted down. He had an open man that he was looking for, but it was a great defensive play by the Vikings, who were making a lot of great defensive plays today. And it's incomplete. Vikings get the ball back. They try to go lead a game-tying drive, and ultimately it falls short. So the Ravens get the 27-19 victory. They move to 4-5 on the season. Minnesota drops to 4-5. Their last place in the NFC North. Baltimore is 2nd in the AFC North, right behind Pittsburgh. And that's ultimately how things went here. So Baltimore gets the 27-19 victory here. and they move to 4-5. Their next 3 games are against the Browns, the Jets, and the Bengals. They got these 3 games before they have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers in December. Baltimore has to win these next 3 games. They better be over 500 by the time they meet up with Pittsburgh, because those 2 matchups against the Steelers is ultimately going to determine the division. But we can't say that if Baltimore is losing games. So we'll see what happens. In terms of stats here, not really the biggest stat guy. I'm not really focused on stats at the end of the day. They're great to have, but I'm not really focused on stats too immensely. But yeah, for the Ravens, holding on the offense here, Chargers are going backwards. So yeah, Lamar on the day, Lamar wasn't really spectacular today. You know, he picked and chose his moments when to throw. He had a couple throws that he missed where it was behind the receiver, but the receivers were also dropping passes left and right. So it's kind of one of those type of days. Lamar 17-29, 176, a touchdown, no interception, passer rating 87, QBR 43. Yada, yada, yada. Derrick Henry, 20 carries for 75 yards. Lamar, he had 9 carries because he had a few attempts here and had an actual carry. He had a few attempts here, a couple times where he scrambled. I think he had like 2 designed runs, and then he had that crazy pitch play where Andrews is under center and he pitches it to Lamar to go pick up the first down. That was interesting. But yeah, Lamar 9 for 36. And Keaton Mitchell, who again needs to get a lot more love and attention on this offense. He only has 4 carries and he had 31 yards. Can we please implement Keaton Mitchell to this offense? Can he be utilized more? You don't need to give all these damn carries to Derrick Henry. We ain't got the offensive line to make this work. Let's utilize the speed of Keaton Mitchell and bring some more variety to the damn run game. But that's beside the point. Zay Flowers, 4 catches, 75 yards. I mean, that guy is just showcasing how reliable he can be as a receiver for you. 3rd and 4, and they're going to get to Herbert, and this game continues to be the same nonsense. 5-3. What the heck are we watching? 5-3 game here in LA, and the Chargers are going to have to punt with 3:30 left to go in the first half here. Charlie Kolar had 1 reception for 23 yards. Isaiah Likely, 2 catches, 17 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 2 for 16. Mark Andrews, 3 for 14. Hill, 1 for 12. Bateman, 1 for 10. And Henry, 3 for 9. Not too much there, but I mean, still decent. The thing you're gonna notice is there was a lot of targets here for. There were a good chunk of drops. Zay Flowers had 4 catches on 6 targets. He dropped the pass, but honestly, that's still relatively fine. Likely 2 catches on 5 targets. I think he had maybe 2 drops. He had at least a drop, maybe a second one. Mark Andrews also had a drop as well. 3 catches on 5 targets. I think Bateman also had a drop as well. Yeah, it was just drops everywhere. The Ravens did fumble the ball a few times here in terms of the exchanges, but ultimately they didn't lose them, so they didn't turn the ball over. The offensive line was terrible, so we got to deal with that however we deal with that. Meanwhile, for J.J. McCarthy, 20 of 42, 248, 1 touchdown, 2 interception, passer rating of 54.5, QBR of 18.7. McCarthy also led his entire team in rushing today, 5 for 48. Aaron Jones was 9 for 47, and Jordan Mason was 4 for 25. So they did rush for 120 yards. Baltimore rushed for 152 yards total. So it's kind of a weird game. Jalen Nailor was the star of the game. 5 catches, 124 yards. He had that 62-yard reception, that catch and run on that 3rd down play. But yeah, over 100 yards for Nailor. That was his thing, because when you look at Addison and you look at Jefferson, woo! It wasn't good. Let me tell you something right now. Part of this is the Ravens defense doing their damn job. The other part of this is J.J. McCarthy missing receivers. Or you have the rare moment where they just dropped the ball. Look at this disgusting nonsense. Well, let's see what happens here on the 2nd and 6. A-Rod has the ball, looking towards the middle of the field. He gets picked off! He threw it right to the defender's hands! Aaron Rodgers! Terrible throw, interception here! The Chargers are going to take over with 2:09 left to go in the first half. Rodgers overthrows a wide open receiver. He gets picked off First turnover of the game here. What was A-Rod doing there? He had a wide open DK Metcalf and he overthrew it. Oh! He overthrew DK. It just sailed on him. DK was open. He overthrew it. Chargers have a chance to extend their lead before halftime. A-Rod with the mistake. First turnover of the game. Back to this. Let me tell you how nasty this is. And this is going to be a lot. You got to give a lot of credit to the Ravens defense. Say what you want to say. Feel how you want to feel. Today, we're going to give credit to the Ravens defense. Today, we're going to give real credit to the Ravens defense. I told you about Addison. I told you about Naylor. Naylor, 5 receptions on 6 targets. 5 receptions, 124 yards. Let me tell you this right now. Justin Jefferson, 4 catches for 37 yards. Jordan Addison, 3 catches for 35 yards. Whoa. The defense did their job. The defense held Jordan Addison to 3 catches on 35 yards and Justin Jefferson to 4 catches on 37 yards. But it doesn't end there. This is how you gotta understand. This is how you gotta look at this situation. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison combined for 7 total catches in this game. For essentially what? 72 yards? 7 catches, 72 yards between Jefferson and Addison. But let's make this even better. So that's the aspect there. Holding Addison and Jefferson to under 40 receiving yards, that's crazy. Jefferson with 37, Addison with 35. They held Addison to 35 receiving yards. They held Jefferson to 37 receiving yards. But that's not all. This is where things get crazy, and you got to give credit to the Ravens defense. Like I said, some of this is the Ravens defense. Some of it is J.J. McCarthy just missing his guy and just not giving a good throw. Justin Jefferson. No, let me start with Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison, 3 catches on 11 targets. J.J. McCarthy targeted Jordan Addison 11 times in this game. 3 catches on 11 targets for 35 yards. You got to give credit to the defense for doing their job there. Justin Jefferson, 4 catches on 12 targets. 4 catches on 12 targets for 37 yards. So essentially, Baltimore held Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, their 2 best receivers, to 7 total catches on 23 targets for 72 receiving yards. Gotta give the defense credit for that. Gotta give the defense credit for that. They held Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison to 7 total catches between the 2 of them for 72 total yards between the 2 of them on 23 targets. If you were to tell me that Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison combined would get 23 targets in this game, I would have told you both of them are going for 100 plus. The fact that neither one of them got past 40, that speaks volumes. That's good defense right there. That's good defense. Defense got to be applauded for doing their job. You held Justin Jefferson in check. You held Jordan Addison in check. And other than that 62-yard bomb, well, not bomb, but that 62-yard catch and run that Naylor had, you relatively held him in check too. Even though he was probably the best receiver that was out there, or at least the most productive receiver out there, because Jefferson wasn't doing nothing, Addison wasn't doing nothing. They got shut down. They let Naylor do whatever he wants. So that's impressive by the Ravens defense to do that right there. But it's good for them to be able to do that. Also, yeah, there was a fumble, like I said early on when I was doing my recap. They also fumbled the ball. It was recovered. So if we're really looking at it, the offense of the Minnesota Vikings really, they don't look good in this game. The offense doesn't look good at this game at all. The offense looked terrible. You know, the Ravens offense wasn't great. The Vikings offense made them look 1,000 times better. That's how crazy this game was. So yeah, that was the offensive aspect here. Baltimore didn't turn the ball over once offensively. Meanwhile, the Vikings turned the ball over 2 times offensively, and then the last turnover was on special teams. Speaking defensively now, defensively, the Ravens and the Vikings defense showed up. Ravens got 2 picks, one from Marlon Humphrey, the other from Malachi Starks. 2 interceptions right there. Minnesota had a few opportunities where they could have potentially picked off Jackson, but off of tip passes because they tipped a lot of Lamar's passes today. But they just weren't able to get the plays there in time. The Vikings defense only sacked Lamar once. Honestly, J.J. McCarthy and Lamar Jackson only got sacked once, but there was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Funny enough, when you actually take a look at this, the Ravens defense actually does come out better. Ravens have 2 interceptions to the Vikings, none. The Ravens have 21 less total tackles and 10 less solo tackles. They didn't have to tackle as much because, I mean, the defense was doing their jobs. Meanwhile, Baltimore was having a lot of moments where they were going on these long drives, so they had to make more tackles. The defense was forcing 3-and-outs and turnovers on downs, so that's a good thing for the defense. The defense had more quarterback hits and more pass deflections. The defense was really doing their job today. You got to give them credit. The defense was doing their job today. They really did well. That defense was doing their job today. And you got to give them credit. Defense did their job, man. Defense did their job. 3 turnovers by the defense. Matter of fact, let me count this here. 2 turnovers by the defense, 1 by special teams. But I also want to look at this. I want to see how many turnover on downs that they have. Let's see here.